Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Trackmania Grand League Winter 2021. I am your host, TM Scotsman. We are bringing to you once again on Twitch.tv/Team Secret. We are bringing Team Secret's own TMGL's performance here in step number 2 of Trackmania Grand League. We have two new maps coming in, we have 2 old maps going out, and we are at step number 2 out of 6 overall. Apologies for the short delay in going live. It seems to be there were some problems with players and streamers managing to connect to the game. As such, we were slightly behind schedule. However, we are looking to go live within the next few minutes. Now, as we said, there is 2 new maps coming in this week. The 2 maps which were played first and second last week have been removed, and the maps which will be coming in are called Slalom and Switcheroo. Will be played 5th and 6th. With any new map that comes in, they are automatically placed to the back of the queue. They are made to be the most important maps in each of the cycles that they are initiated into, but we will have some lovely previews up for each of the maps as always, and we will check them out as they come through the cycle. So, in the order the maps were previously, we have Gap Jumper and Leap of Faith. Previously 3rd and 4th, now 1st and 2nd. And Bookcase, the most controversial map of last week. The Grim Reaper of Trackmania Grand League this season, it seems to be, claimed a record number of points in Step 1, ruined the dreams of many, including Bren, including, who else was it? I think it was Pack, lost a severe amount of points, and one other player whose name is escaping me, I believe it was perhaps Scrappy, who lost a lot of points last time. However, 2 new maps, as we said, Slalom and Switcheroo, will be 5th and 6th. And will be the most important maps we have to worry about. However, in the meantime, if any of you are new and any of you have not managed to follow Trackmania Grand League up until this point, I will give you guys a little display of how this all works and how you can expect today's Trackmania Grand League step to unfold.
Welcome to a Trackmania Grand League step. Let's zoom in on how a step works. Each step is played under the Champion mode, which consists of 6 races taking place on 6 different maps. In each race, the 16 players will start the race at the same time and will execute 6 laps. The player with the best lap time is given 2 extra points for every race. For the first 2 maps, part of the opening phase, players get warmed up and win points according to their position. For maps 3 and 4, things heat up, and the players who finish the race in 9th to 16th place lose half of their points won from the previous maps. Every player still wins points for the maps being played based on their position. For the 2 final maps, the pressure is on and everything is at stake. Players finishing the race in 9th to 16th place lose all the points that they have won so far. In conclusion, step points are fully determined at the end of map 6. And these step points are then added to the global ranking.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about to get live, so I will also show you Gap Jumper. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Gap Jumper, and we are just getting underway here. We are kicking off step number 2 with TMGL once again. We are starting off on Gap Jumper, which is map 1 out of 6. As you saw there, a very difficult jump between 2 vertical blocks there. coming from last week. TMGL did say that he was in a heavy exam period and didn't manage to put in a lot of time to practice last week, and as such didn't actually see TMGL managing to feature at all in the top 8 in any of the previous maps. However, has managed to feel a lot more comfortable throughout today, has managed to put a good bit more time in, so expect his performance to really pick up, especially on the 2 new maps, but also might be seeing a little bit more to see on these opening phase and semi-final phase maps. But as a reminder for those in chat, of course, if you want to support TMGL as we are watching him, check out the cheer command, which will be posted periodically in the chat, and vote for your favourite player. Of course, it could be none other than TMGL in this case, as we are watching him go through and complete the first lap through the identity for the first time, and all players, nearly all players, make it through unscathed. I see a Scrappy and I see a Kappa falling down immediately. So you will also hear, as a result of the cheers and the support you put in the chat, you will hear these players getting cheered on by the members of the crowd, piped in to the game live as you hear it for those who are most supportive. We did manage to get TMGL's name chanted a few times in the last match, so let's hear it a few times again and get the votes cast. However, we have a few players dropping down already, but we're going to go back up to the front of the pack while TMGL spearheads the chase for the main pack. However, we have a very closely contested group here. We have 10 people within 1 second of the lead, and the lead is held in an iron grip by GameWords Gwen here. First place just in front of Massa, Carl Jr., Spam, Bren, all former teammates here, chasing down the new blood of Gwen. And here we go into the identity for the second time. We're seeing a lot of people make it through unfazed, but we're seeing TMGL being the one to fall going through this. Kappa does eventually make it through, but I believe that was Massa failing it for the second time, actually going for the safe route. You can see he's lost a lot of speed coming through this. However, we move into map 3, and we can see here, actually Gwen's got a little bit of a gap. But let's take a look at one of the newcomers to this league, Mudda, and see how he fares in the chase for the top spots and to even get on the podium here. Guys, it seems to be we have lost a Gwen. He has dropped out just a little bit. As you can see here, though, he is still within distance of this top group. Still within striking distance here. As you can see here, he's already gaining a lot more speed through this section, and Riolu will overtake him going through this jump. Gets a lovely transition going through. Just times that perfectly. Tween had to release a lot, and Tween's made the mistake, and now he's going to fall. And it seems to be Aurel is now the one at the bottom of this pack here. You can see Papu, the next, is slightly further behind. We've got Scrappy, we've got Tween, Link, TMGL, Kappa and Massa all having made big mistakes so far going through this. But let's check in with Aurel at the tail end of this slithering snake here going through Gap Jumper, as half of our map has already passed and we are on the final 3 laps. Lap number 4 here as we check in with Aurel from TeamGamingPriv.com. Currently in your top 8 we have Afi, Riolu, Pack, Gwen, Mudda, Bren, Carl Jr. and Spam. The other newcomer to this, as we are just seeing the most prominent newcomer so far of Mudda in the Trackmania Grand League this season, is Link, finding himself languishing in 12th position so far. But that's really nice by Aurel. Claims 2 positions through that small section there. Is he going to be able to keep them though? Gets a nice lower landing there, but as a result of manipulating the angle his car approached that from, very, very expert technique there from Aurel. And it looks like Aurel at the moment is hunting more positions so far. Gets a bit of an awkward exit there. That's going to allow Mudda a little bit of a window of opportunity back in through here, but makes the mistake, as does Gwen, falling down from 4th all the way down. He's going to lose so much speed in this downhill. He's going to find himself 7th after all said and done. Mudda won't catch him, but Afi is now having 2 men in blue in front and 1 man in red behind. I mean, see here a massive gap back to Scrappy in 11th position. You see here Massa and evoN having a little bit of a fight, but other than that, it is pretty much all she wrote for these players down at the bottom, unless some of these at the top make a big mistake. However, the leadership has changed slightly going into this penultimate lap. Spam is now the one in the lead. Bren and Carl Jr. are hot on their heels at the moment, but this top three battle, look at Carl Jr. going for the lower jump here. He's trying to conserve as much horizontal momentum so he clears the obstacles as quickly as possible, and you can see he stretches his legs just a little bit over Bren going into this final lap. Now, one of the main incentives for each of these maps, I mean, for the first two maps you might think that the points don't matter as much as there's no point loss at the moment. However, 100 euros goes into the pocket of whoever manages to win a map, so Spam currently is in a position to make himself that little bit richer. Bren trying to catch up on Spam is very close. However, Spam still rocking the fastest lap so far though. 0.2 of a second between them though. Spam looking good so far, very tight in that inside line there going into this little grass bowl. Carl Jr.'s dropped back a little bit too much. Pack catching up, but still 0.6 of a second behind. They're going to need a miracle if the money is going into anyone else's wallet, but Spam's 0.2 of a second going into the final identity, and it looks as if Spam's got it. Bren, we got to give him credit, he went for the risk there, but it's going to go to Spam. First place, second to Carl, and rounding out the podium is Pack. Relu fourth, Gwen finishing in 5th there. Aurel, Mudda, Afi, Scrappy, Papu, Bren dropped all the way down to 11th. evoN in 12th, Massa 13th, Tween 14th, Kappa 15th, and Link. Will he finish on time here? Makes the final identity without issue, and will make his round off the scoreboard actually there in 16th position. And Link has to settle for minimum points here. But in the news round for Team Secret here, we have evoN 12, or joint 11th position, along with Bren on 4 points. So not the greatest of starts, but again, when you are putting in a lot of effort into these steps, you're going to be prioritising the maps that come later. They are the maps that matter more. They are the maps which everyone will be prepared more, so expect some fireworks later on. As we move on to map number 2, which is going to be Leap of Faith. If I do remember correctly, it was Kappa who took this map last time, and is one of the only players to get a sub 7 minute time. As a reminder, of course, these maps are a little bit shorter than last season's maps, clocking in of a 6 lapper around about the 7 minute mark. A little bit lower in some cases, but in the meantime, while everyone gets ready, we're going to check out Leap of Faith. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Leap of Faith by Thompson. This is definitely a more technical map. One of the things I would definitely point out to you folks here is this is a map which players may get caught out a little bit more through the duration of the track. It is not one of the harder identities here. I suppose it's one of those identities that once you figure it out, it does get a little bit easier. However, as pointed out by one of our esteemed members in chat there, a little bit of a storyline going into this, of course. For example, that Spam has pointed out, coming through with a first place immediately is the type of player that plays very well when he does get momentum behind him. But there is some other storylines coming into this week's Trackmania Grand League, of course. You look at the poor starts from some of the people, and points-wise, when you look at the overall league standings. For example, when you look here, you see the likes of Bren on 7, Massa 5, evoN 5, Papu on 9. It would point out to yourselves, of course, that much of these players did lose a massive amount of points last step in the final map there. I believe it's Papu, Bren and Pack lost a lot of points. So keep keep your eye on them. See if they can manage to get their head back on straight. It is a very difficult loss to come back from, having lost so many points when it all accumulates to your total, of course. However, we will see how these players recover and see how they perform later on. Now, going through as always the first lap on Leap of Faith with none other than Secret.evoN here. Second of the opening phase map, so again these are just kind of placeholder maps almost, but Pack, the first to fall already. Had a very stellar performance last step, did Pack. 82 points I believe it was he dropped, all in one map there, but oh, Bren, make you a mistake as well. So two who were really flying high in last match here, really having some issues, and evoN going into the identity in 15th place, not able to capitalise from many of these mistakes here, as has made a mistake before even reaching the identity here. But going into the Leap of Faith, don't go full speed there or else you will be bonking your head on the roof. However, finishing our first lap and taking a look up to the top as Papu and Mudda are having a battle here. Papu did take the fastest lap, but Mudda trying to fight back a little bit here, trying to get first place from the grasps of Papu. Papu is one of the strongest early season performers, though it must be said. Almost secured his position in the playoffs last season in 2 steps alone, did Papu. Originally coming from the dirt scene of Trackmania, one of the most accomplished players in the dirt scene in Trackmania's history, a 3-time Gamers Assembly Dirt Champion, definitely one of the best when it comes to the rough surface. However, battling against one of the very best at full speed in Mudda, one of the most critically acclaimed players in the modern full speed era at least. However, Papu is the one winning the battle at the very least, and certainly no man with a bigger story than Carl Jr. is chasing him down. Carl Jr. of course lamented as the greatest of all time in many's mind, and for good reason. 3-time Tech World Champion, 2-time Trackmania Grand League Champion, probably many times a Zerator Champion, many times a champion of everything, as Carl Jr. representing Solary this season, and currently second in points overall as of this step. Obviously Bren with the fastest lap, finding himself a little bit further behind though. But let's take a look here at who's fallen down already. We've got Afi, Scrappy, Pack, Riolu and evoN. We've got a 5-man battle down here. Of course, this isn't going to be fighting for a lot of points, so not the most important of battles, it must be said. However, you must, I mean, when you see 5 players within 0.5 of a second, you know something's hot and spicy on the track. And as you can see, it is a very close fight, and also Link in danger of getting sucked into this group. And with a track like this, if you are very well versed throughout the different turns and different twists of this track, you can catch up for sure. And you see these players risking it a little bit. Pack so close, inside and outside. However, doesn't net himself the fastest lap so far, but there is a big gap up to Bren here in 10th position. Aurel, Gwen, Massa. That's bringing your gap all the way up to 7th there, but now one more falls, and that is Gwen. Very close to the inside there as he tries to recover, but now the attack from Pack. But let's move up a little bit here. Massa, the furthest ahead of this little group here, just very close to the inside there. However, trying to catch up with the main 6-man group up at the top. We have Tween, Spam, Mudda, Carl Jr., Papu and Kappa. Mudda definitely being the newcomer to this series and to top level competition in general when it comes to multi-style or the premier style of the game at any given time. However, as shown, he is not fazed by the competition. Did actually have a game crash last week there on map number 1, I believe it was. Tween going for the super inside line. And Tween takes the fastest lap, but immediately sniped back by Pack there. A 109.5 being done by the Pac-Man, and performing very well. in his recovery drive. He's already up to 8th, you can see on the left hand side of your screen. It will track the position changes as well. Red implicates that someone's just gone down, and green implicates who's overtaken. As you see there, Scrappy's just been overtaken evoN. Bren just overtaken Afi, but the fight here is at the top. Kappa is in a world of his own here at the moment. Seems to be Spam's dropped down quite a bit. Did have some good momentum coming into map number 2, but maybe having some issues now. Massa, Gwen, Pack, all trying to recover, but there is only one lap and a bit left to go. Oh, Carl Jr. had to release a little bit late there. Did come very close to getting a little bit too close of a haircut. However, it is a pandemic, so I know some people need haircuts. I certainly need one. Kappa once again getting the fastest lap, but for the 3rd time in a row is sniped by Pack. And we need to watch this man's recovery drive here as he is hunting down Massa. No mercy from the Brit here. He has gained a lot of time on the lead pack so far. As you can see, he's left the likes of Gwen, Aurel, Link all behind him. He was behind all of these players going into the 2nd lap, or the 3rd lap I believe it was. Made a mistake in lap number 1, did Pack. Going super close to the inside there, however, does manage to maintain some speed, trying to catch up that little bit on the German from Berlin International Gaming. There's going to be a close fight here, but one that's certainly not a close fight. Up at the top, Kappa, nearly a second behind of his closest opponent. We'll check into this battle just in a second as Kappa's going to go through the identity for the final time. The final time we'll see a leap of faith, and will Kappa hold on to the win here for the 2nd time in a row? Dominating leap of faith as the last Tech World Champion of Kappa. And he takes it with a lovely time there, a 7:01.1. But let's check in with this battle here as Pack stole it by 0.3 of a second at the end there of Massa. And that was a beautiful recovery drive there by Pack and a well-deserved 7th place. However, we check in with the rest of the field. Afi rounding off everyone. However, we check Carl Jr. and Papu are rounding off your podium. We see Tween 4th, Mudda 5th, Spam in 6th, Pack 7th, however, with the fastest lap, will leapfrog Spam's points in that map as we move on to number 3, which will be Bookcase. Now, Bookcase being the most controversial map, it was the map everyone was fearing going into this. A lot of mistakes were being made in Bookcase, and it claimed a record amount of points in step number 1. However, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to show you Bookcase. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen, that is Bookcase, the Grim Reaper of step number 1. No doubt some PTSD for Pack here. Oh, a few drivers opting for that different line now. Now, there's 2 things to note in this track. There is a little bit of a different line in that dirt uphill, can be a little bit faster, but is also very technical and very difficult to pull off. However, the main thing to note here coming into this identity, as we'll spectate everyone here, now this, on the face of things, might not look like a very difficult identity. You need to release a lot to make it down to the bottom floor here, and also when you're doing the next jump, you need to switch over from the left side to the right to give yourself as much of an angle as possible, and then come in with a grass slide coming across the final hairpin turn. That's the fastest way to do it. However, we've seen, due to the difficulty factor here, not necessarily difficult to pull off just in simply one try, but to do it 6 times in a row when the pressure is at its highest, that's when the wheat is separated from the chaff, ladies and gentlemen. So you will see some players opting to go for the easy way, opting to go a little bit more safe and secure on this. However, as we are seeing this only be map number 3, again, half of the points are going to be deducted, not full points deducted for the bot mate, and you will be able to track the bot mate by the red times on the bottom left hand corner of your screen. However, there is less at stake here, so will we see some players going for the Hail Mary? But let's check out lap number 1 with evoN so far. And now keep an eye here, you see some players going super early on the inside, and Bren pulls off expertly, and as you can see how that does work, he moves up to first place along with Riolu, I believe it was, who pulled that off very well. But you can see how it can go wrong. Gwen did lose a few positions as he had to bottom out of that a little bit too early. Now, going into the identity here, and we're going to check out evoN's attempt for it, going for the right-hand side here. I believe as a result of this, it is the safer way to go through this. You go through into the bottom, go for no airtime, and as such, take a safe way through. Now, the first victim has been claimed. Bren, who lost all of his points here last time, despite being in first place for the majority of the map, is down to last now. Can definitely factor in a bit of the mental game when it comes to these maps and where you know you've made mistakes. But look at this battle up at the top. Carl Jr., Pack, Riolu. Riolu, who was second place in the first season's group stage, actually, did make it through to the playoffs and did perform reasonably well here. But you see the technique here. Then the technique is to cancel out your slide on dirt so you're not making any drifts whatsoever. The drift is what loses you the grip, and Riolu pulls that off very nicely. However, it doesn't gain you that much time when the other players are such players as Pack and Carl Jr. But let's see the approach for these 3 up in front. Are they going to make it through unscathed? Dropping down into the first level. See Kappa going for it safe. Spam going for a different approach as well. Carl Jr. Oh, Riolu just saved the end of that there. He's going to lose some speed coming through the exit of that slide though. And let's take a look here as Gwen now takes the fastest lap, and it looks as if Link having some trouble going through there. Spam is all the way down in last year, 30 points. Now this will mean 15 of those points are at risk. Papu's fallen down, and Bren also. Papu and Bren were 2 of the 3 players to lose a massive amount of points here, so we'd only need Pack for history to repeat itself. However, let's take a look at Afi here. He has a total of 1 second behind 8th position here. So anyone, including him and in front of him, is in prime position to take advantage of any mistakes here. Overtaking evoN, but evoN switches back here, says no thank you Afi, I'll keep that 12th position. But Afi is having none of it here. The man from BDS in his 2nd regular season in Trackmania Grand League. Looks as if Link and evoN going for the safe way. Let's see if Afi will be able to pull off this technique expertly. And look at that beautiful exit there from Afi. Looks as if Aurel had some issues going through there. And it seems to be those going for the safe option are getting left behind. Now, speaking of getting left behind, we see here a few have made mistakes. We're seeing here Link and Riolu falling into the bottom positions. It seems Rielu's had some issues with the exit of 2 of those identities in a row, and as such he is playing catch up at the moment. Afi in 9th position, fighting for dear life for 8th here. This 1 position can make the difference of a good amount of points, especially in Aurel's 13 at risk. Tween's not out of this battle either in any of the front. If a lapse in concentration is had, then it will be all doom and gloom in Bookcase here, going into the identity for the 4th time. And let's see if those at the front make it through unscathed. Gwen now up in 3rd, but Carl Jr. makes a mistake. He's going to have to take this safe. You see here, he's going to leak positions as well. He's not going to get a very fast exit. However, maximises his speed to minimise the damage. And that's the experience coming in of Carl Jr. He knows how to recover from mistakes and finds himself only in 5th position. Tween, Aurel, both having rocky exits there, but do keep a good grip. However, one that doesn't is Gwen, falling all the way down to 10th position there. And Relu has failed even more, finding himself in 16th, Spam 15th, evoN 14th. More mistakes to be had here, and those who are safing it just aren't able to catch up here. Kappa in 12th position despite not making really any major mistakes. Well, let's check out the battle here. Look how close this is. Look how many people are in danger. We have anyone from Papu upwards, but we'll focus on Aurel and Afi, who are in the danger zone here, chasing down Bren and Gwen. Well, let's see here. Who's going to go for the safe option? Doesn't look like any of them are going safe. They know all bets are off and they need to start putting in the lap times here as Kappa takes a safe option in the background. Between makes a mistake. Mudda goes around the outside getting maximum speed, but very risky approach. It looks as if Kappa's fallen even further behind. Oh, sorry, Papu fallen even further behind, pardon me. Tween and Aurel here. Look how close they are, practically inside each other. However, both players are at risk, and all players, I'd say up to Mudda, are at risk here. However, the identity does not hold any safe hands. Everyone is at risk. Oh, you could see Gwen was thinking about going for that inside line there. Brent did pull it off, but Tween is in danger here, and he's dropping back. Coming through into the final stage here, the final half of the map. And Aureli's 0.2 of a second behind. But Pat going into the identity for the final time. Looks like he's got a win under his belt. Perfect recovery from this map last time where he lost 82 points. He's taking it safe this time, but is he going to be able to win it? Is Carl Jr. going to steal it? Carl Jr. with great exit speed, but who's going to take it coming into the ending? Pac might catch up, he's just not got enough speed, and Carl Jr. will snipe the €100 straight at the ending, and Tween has to settle for losing points at the very death. Massa also drops down. Aurel sneaks into the safe zone just at the ending, but what a misjudgment there by Pac. I mean, so far in the lead there and so far ahead of 8th. Did decide just to go for the safe option. It is also a good idea in the sense of securing points, but that's €100 just thrown down the drain by Pac there. And finds himself on 35 points in 2nd position. But what an ending there to map number 3. We are now going to move on to the last of the old maps. It is Icicle. Let's see who can survive the freeze. And there we have Icicle, ladies and gentlemen. Map 4 out of 6 is a map which we did also see a lot of mistakes on. I seem to be saying that for every one of these maps, but the important thing to note when you're at this level, the maps might be easier or tougher from round to round. However, when a map is easier, you will see players risking it that little 5 or 10% more, because they know they can get away with it. However, that can also lead to as many mistakes as a difficult map, as we have seen throughout the course of Trackmania Grand League here. But let's check out the overall standings going into map 4 out of 6. This is the last chance to gain a lot of points before they are all at risk. Only half of the points are at risk going through each of these stages. Now, in the step ranking, we have evoN and Link down at the bottom on 5 points. We have Riolu on 8. We have Massa 10. We have Tween on 12. That's phonetically pleasing to me. Papu on 13. Afi and Bren and Kappa on 15. So a three-way tie for 8th position there. Spam having lost a lot of points. 18. Let's see. Aurel on 19, Scrappy 21, Gwen 25, Mudda 1 point ahead on 26, Pack 35, and Carl Jr. 48. But we're going to check out evoN for the very start of Icicle here. And the reminder, check out the Cheer website if you want to throw support to your favourite Trackmania Grand League player. Our favourite Trackmania Grand League player is evoN from Team Secret, of course. If you want to lend their support, of course, the crowd will cheer the most supported player throughout the map. However, these are the final 3 tracks, of course, the first of the final 3 tracks, and this is when I expect the heat to be turned up. This is when I expect to see players fully prepared going through this. Already we have seen a big mistake though, and it has been from Carl Jr. finding himself in last position. However, early on here, so he still has a big opportunity to recover. Going for a big jump here. Riolu makes a mistake on the downhill. Will he be able to survive it? He will. Riolu and Carl Jr. definitely not making it through lap 1 unscathed, but here we go through the identity for the first time. Going for a long ice slide there, trying to take as much of the booster as possible. So gaining as much speed through the final straight, and Tween is your first place driver here at the moment. Fighting along with... Oh, that's a big mistake by Bren. Kappa also dropping down there. And Bren finding himself down at the very bottom. Riolu and Link seemingly having made more mistakes here. And we can see the gap is getting a little bit widened between the main pack here. Carl Jr. chasing everyone down. There's no man more likely to be able to chase down a pack than Carl Jr. The composure and the sheer pace of the greatest of all time. Let's see what he's capable of. Spam at the bottom of this pack, chasing evoN and Afi. Everyone survived that jump unscathed, but coming through into this right-hander onto the reactor boost here. Oh, saw a little bit of lag there. Spam loses some speed, makes a little bit of a small error there. That's so weird to say. Let's see, second identity. No mistakes at the back of the pack. Everyone surviving. Mudda now getting the fastest lap. Pack makes a mistake in the freewheeling though, so he's going to be losing a lot of speed. And that's going to be a lot of time lost for Pack. And you can see he falls all the way down to 14th. And Pack potentially going to be suffering from another major point loss here, as he has 35 at risk. Carl Jr. has 48. Spam also still at risk. May be taking next to nothing home with him, but evoN drops down a little bit. Carl Jr. leapfrogs him, however stabilises early. Now Riolu on the attack. And Bren and Pack. But it's a 3-man battle here for 12th position. The closer you are to the top, of course, the more chance you have to take advantage of a mistake, and evoN's getting left behind a little bit there. Let's head up to the top of the pack. Afi 1 second behind the leading group. Or the leading player, I believe, who is Gwen so far. See if he's going to rock in a fastest lap. Some of the players at the top. We've got Aurel taking the fastest lap. Bren overtaking that just at the end. And it's looking good up here at the top. Look how close this gap is. Between the top 6 players, we have less than half a second. We have Kappa, Papu, Mudda, Gwen, Aurel, and Scrappy as your top 6 here. And Tween now bringing himself that little bit closer as well. Tween showing us that little bit of a technique at the ending. For the final lap, he opts to go for less booster, so he gets the final, so he gets over the line just a little bit quicker, and saved his points at the very death there, sniping Mudda at the end, I believe it was, in step number 1. But look how close this is, all throughout the top 7 here. Now only 4 tenths between 7 drivers here. Mudda getting left behind a little bit, but coming into the identity will be his prime chance to catch up here. Let's take a look from Mudda's perspective as he draws in on Kappa. We see Afi and Masa on the attack behind. Carl Jr. goes a little bit wide there. Pack also, but they should be able to recover no problem. Everyone calculating that to perfection, it looked like. Mudda survives. A little bit of an awkward exit there. He's going to lose a little bit of an angle there. However, still touch and go in the penultimate lap here. Let's check from the bottom. So Link, the only one very far behind here. evoN's made another mistake and he's not going to be getting into the top 8. Riolu the furthest behind outside of that, but coming into the main chasing pack here. We've got Bren, Carl Jr., we've got Pack as well. However, Carl Jr. separated himself by about half a second and he's chasing down Spam. Both players at big risk of points here. Did someone drop down there? Oh, it seems to be just a little bit of a UI bug there. Afi, the last safe player so far. Someone did drop down. Not entirely sure who yet. Massa finding himself just on the very verge here. 0.2 of a second. Oh, Carl Jr. with a lot of speed on that exit though. He's so close to catching up. And he straightens up perfectly coming through there. Look how close it is, but Massa cracks. Massa cracks under the pressure and he's going to be losing his points for definite. Going into the final lap here now though. And Spam's actually overtaken Afi. So 2 of these players will lose points. 1 will keep it. And now Spam has 8th place ripped from his grasp by Carl Jr. And the Solary man is completing the comeback. But will he be able to keep it like this? In the meantime though, look at this battle for the top. We've got 3 players in the battle for first place and they have 0.2 of a second between them. Gwen, Tween and Papu going toe to toe up until the finish line, and we have 3 players within 1/10 of a second fighting for 4th place just behind, and it is heating up at the very end of Bicycle. But let's check the identity for the final time here. Tween has a good lead here. Let's see if any of them go for a special technique to get that €100 at the ending. Tween's got a little bit of a lead over Gwen here, but is he going to be able to survive? You can see he cuts it a little bit earlier. Gwen, will he be able to recover? He won't, and Tween takes it. €100 going his way, and Spam is the first to deal with the points loss. But look at that, 3 players within 0.2 of a second. Spam, Papu and Bren will be heartbroken at losing half of their points. That's 9 for Spam, 6 for Papu, 7 for Bren. But the big points loser here is Thomas Pack Cole, losing 17 points. But what a beautiful comeback there from the greatest of all time, Carl Jr. 55 points in the bag going into the most important stage of all. It is the final phase. But in the meantime, we're going to have a 5 or 6 minute break. In this 5 or 6 minute break, we're going to check out the standings once again. And we should be getting a little bit of input from our man evoN. Stay tuned. We'll just be a minute. Okay, everyone, we are back now. Go through a quick run through of the leaderboard here as you've been staring at it for the past 2 minutes. As we can see here, Link 16th on 4 points, evoN 15th on 6th, Massa and Riolu joint 13th on 8 points, Papu 12th on 12, Bren 11th with 14, joint with Spam and 10th on 14 as well, Pack 20 points on 9th, Afi 21 points on 8th, Kappa 25 for 7, Aurel 28, Scrappy 29, Tween 32, Mudda 38, Gwen 39, and Carl Jr. at the top on 55. But let's hear from evoN. evoN, how's it going so far? We're seeing at the bottom 15th place at 6 points, so not a great start, but let us know how you're feeling so far in step number 2.
Well, I expected to perform badly on the first 3 maps. Like I even did put some effort into them, but it wasn't enough. A little bit disappointed about physical. I knew I had the pace to get top 8, but yeah, just it happens.
Now, last week you did tell us that a lot of your kind of hopes for this, for your performance-wise, were coming under the kind of banner of if the maps suited you, so to speak. Now, how do you feel about the maps this week? Do you feel that the 2 new maps, Slalom and what's the last one called again? Let me.
Switcheroo.
Yeah, Switcheroo, exactly. How are you feeling about these 2 maps in general? I mean, how's your training been for them? Do you feel that they suit you at all?
Yeah, I actually really like them, but they are obviously really scary. Slalom has a really scary identity that can go wrong. I should make it 6 out of 6, but yeah, everything can happen. It's just a scary identity.
For sure. And of course, last week you told us that you didn't manage to put as much time into training as a result of course, some exams. But talk us through your preparation for this week quickly, as in the sense of were you prioritising just the last 2 maps, or and what was the amount? How was your time looking this week? Were we able to see the full potential of evoN yet, do you think?
I think so. I did put obviously a lot of pressure into the last 2 maps. Maybe a little bit too little into the old maps, but I feel confident. But yeah, a little bit nervous still, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's only natural. Well, you've got the Secret family and friends cheering you on from the sidelines. I'll let you go get back and warmed up. 2 minutes to go. We're all cheering for you. Best of luck, man.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was evoN from Team Secret. He's going to be putting in all of his best for this map. This is going to be Slalom. As you've been seeing here, I've been watching Link through the rest of this. It is a very, very difficult map, it must be said, in terms of the, you know, the turns and the general flow of the map. It is very nice, it flows very well. However, there's a lot of choke points on this map. You've seen both parts of the slalom, which it does mention there, in the middle going through the dirt section, and also at the ending an ice slalom. Now, particularly with the ice slaloms, very difficult over the dirt one. As the dirt one, of course, if you make a mistake, you can brake a little, you can adjust your line. However, going through the ice slalom, if you make a mistake, there is no way back. It is extremely difficult to correct your course on ice, and we will be seeing a lot of players falling down on that, believe you me, as we casually flatten some spectators like it's Death Race 2000. As you can see here, you do a hairpin straight away, get back on the gas, but you've also got to navigate this scenery here, these different slaloms, get enough speed to fly over the snow. And Link going for some style points going into the finish there once again. Let's check out evoN warming up a little. See if we can get it through follow camera. Yeah, let's check out here. So this is how it'll look from the players' perspectives here, if Papu actually manages to do it. And now we've been scammed. But yes, it is a very interesting map, it must be said. However, it is one of those maps like Bookcase that we were talking about that I do expect to see a lot of mistakes being made. I'm expecting to see a lot of points going down the toilet here as they go down slalom here. Who's going to survive? Who's going to crash and burn? But let's check out lap number 1 with Team Secret's evoN. Slalom map number 5. As always, red positions on the right are going to be your ones in danger. As evoN did say, he's prioritised his time, of course, into the last 2 maps, which is smart tactics. Seen the likes of Kappa and Gwen do that at points last season, and it did definitely pay off. I believe evoN does also have the Identity World Record on this track. However, we will see how that will pan out going through the first of 2, well, I suppose first of 3 slaloms actually here. However, this one a little bit easier as you do have some time to react going through it. Finding himself a little bit behind the pack here, but Massa and Scrappy making a little bit of a blunder there, however, both recovering well. And here we go into the slalom for the first time, and let's see how it's going to go. Oh, Papu has to respawn immediately. Now he's going to have a mountain to climb as he had a static respawn there. And Papu, he's going to need to try and shift himself into this checkpoint, but he manages to do it. But that is going to be massive time lost there for Papu. He's going to be 8 seconds behind immediately, and that is not good whatsoever. But look at these battles sorting out immediately. We have Massa and Pack a little bit further ahead at the top, and then followed by Gwen, Spam and Bren. A 3-man battle for the final podium spot. evoN, Carl Jr. and Riolu fighting for 6th, 7th and 8th. But Afi, of course, only lap number 2, so points will not be at risk just yet. Still got a long time to go. Another 5 minutes for the players to gain or lose positions here. Riolu going into 8th position here, or 9th position temporarily. Let's see if he can recover well here. Oh, mistake from Carl Jr., but he will straighten himself out well. evoN gets a little bit of a lead over this group going through this section. Spam didn't get a lot of speed. Pack did get the fastest lap though, and as such pulls away from Massa a little bit at the top. But you can see those who know how to do this identity well are pulling away. Definitely a lot bigger of a gap here, considering we look at 8th position and Pack's barely on the screen at the front. Oh, Riolu makes a mistake now. He's going to drop some speed. Carl Jr. the closest. We've got Scrappy, Aurel, Mudda, Tween, Kappa and Papu all standing to lose massive amounts of points. The gauntlet, I suppose that's what they should call this. Oh, Riolu, that was very awkward there. That gave me the fear just watching that. But let's check out the bottom of the top 8. Scrappy for a good point of view. Going through this identity once again. Oh, someone didn't. Someone had to respawn there. That's going to be a lot of points and a lot of positions lost. Who was that? It was evoN. evoN's down to 14th position now. And that's what we're talking about. One big mistake and it can be all over. I saw it was a black car, but we didn't see it was our car. Now evoN is going to be all the way behind here. He only has 6 points, so he doesn't have that much to lose. But players who do have a lot to lose. Papu with 12. Kappa 25. Tween 32. Mudda 38, Scrappy 29, but look how close they are. 2 players within 1/10 of a second of 8th position. Mudda's practically inside Aurel here at the moment. Lap 4 out of 6 here. Mudda getting a little bit of a lead in the battle for 8th. However, it all comes down to the identity. Pack and Massa light years ahead here. Oh, Gwen makes a big mistake, and Gwen's 39 points are going to be going down the toilet. Gameward, goneward, homeward bound. However, that gives a free spot into the top 8 here. Gwen very far behind here. Tween did manage to leapfrog him, but I don't think any of these players are going to manage to keep their points. But look at this gap up to the top. Pack and Massa are so far ahead here at the moment. Bren the closest, fighting along with Spam. But Spam makes a small mistake going into this slalom. Not close enough for Afi and Mudda to recover though. Everyone, at least in this top 6, makes it through no problem. But look how close this fight is. Mudda, Scrappy and Aurel. Looks as if Mudda actually made a mistake. He's dropped a lot of speed through this section. One of these players is going to be losing the points. And this identity for the penultimate time. And Scrappy trying to respawn and recover, but he's not managing it. And Scrappy's points are going to be gone now. But now look at this battle. I think all of these players would be safe though. Riolu the closest on attack. All of these players are now safe in the top 8. But the question is, who's going to be winning? It looks as if Massa is out of this battle, but look how far ahead Pac is. He's nearly not on the screen. Pac has been ruling this map here. Let's see Pac bringing home 100 euros. Or is Caster's Curse going to strike him in the final identity? Seems to have been rock solid so far this map, but not this step though. Did lose all of his points in map 6 out of 6 last step. But let's see if he can make it through, no problem here. Can take it nice and easy going through there. Does Pac so close to the inside. There was Pac, but 100 euros going in the pocket of the Brit. Massa following up in second. And it seems to be no one's made a mistake here. The top 8 will stay as you were. Riolu, Gwen, Tween, Link, Scrappy, Kappa, Evon and Papu all losing points, and Pac taking maximum rewards from Slalom. And that is the penultimate map of this step. Now we move on to Switcheroo here. 64 points as your step leader, Carl Jr., followed up by Mudda. But as we definitely saw, their mistakes are extremely punishing in maps like Slalom. Very difficult and technical identities. But let's check out, in the meantime, the final map of step number 2, Switcheroo. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the final map of step number 2, Switcheroo. I like the way that sounds off the tongue, but anyway, this is going to be the final opportunity for players to lock in points for this step. You can see a lot of good positions, a lot of good points up here at the top. However, no one with the kind of points total that Pac had last time. 82 points he had by this point. Finished all maps either first or second last week. However, I'm sure with 42 points, if they come home with them, we won't be too displeased. However, this is one of the maps which does have a little bit of an easier identity here. So you're going to be seeing the players coming out who will be the fastest players on this. The players who will be at least avoiding mistakes generally. But Carl Jr., Mudda, Pac, Aurel, Afi, Bren, Spam and Massa all with 20 plus points to lose. Gwen, Riolu, Link, Kappa, Scrappy, Tween, Evon and Papu all on the hunt. Let's see how Evon does in lap number 1. I believe this was the one he had world record in identity, pardon me. However, we will see what time will tell. Oh, some different approaches here. You see Papu and the rest of the pack pretty much going different ways. Going up onto this next platform here. Onto some ice. Not too technical ice, just need to get your car pointed in the right direction again. Oh, Gwen got a little bit of a slide there, that's not good. You want to be keeping a lot of speed going through this section. And now Getting ready to go into the identity here through a little mixed road section. And there we go. So TMGL up in first here. Pack, however, fighting along with them. Seems to be potentially some issues at the back here though. Bren 15th and Mudda has not started. Mudda is not moving. Don't know what's going to happen here, but the stop has not been called. And this would be disaster for Mudda. Potentially 45 points straight away going down. What's happening here to Mudda? Last step he had a game crash, which resulted in him not being able to gain points in one of the maps. Now Spam's down as well. This is disaster so far for Mudda. I mean, I don't think it's going to be restarted this. Oh, it is. Oof. Breathe a sigh of relief if you're a fan of Mudda. It looks as if another game crash. I'm curious as to why it was restarted though. They didn't restart it for anyone else's game crashes. However, we will await information. It looks as if it will just get restarted and ready to go. Yes, does appear to be some PC issues. So players will get an extra 1 minute warm up there. So those like Spam, of course, will be breathing a sigh of relief. Maybe secretly sabotaged. I'm just going to clarify something with the admin team. Just be a second. As we said, just a little bit of warm-up left for the players. ZZZ is Gwen sleeping here, it looks like. So yes, the admins did clarify that the only time it would be restarted is if a player's game has crashed before the round has started. So hence why it was not restarted in the first step. So if a player crashes during the middle or their connection drops out or something like that, then they would not have the step stopped. Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy in past seasons through different incidents in the league. I do remember the one Raveout's talking about when he was in the lead of one of the maps, doing very well, but then it got restarted because there was a checkpoint bug, and then when it restarted he crashed and lost all of his points. I remember. Yep, Twins 0.001 lap record, yep, exactly. Because he finished in record time, but that's just how fast Tween is, guys. There's someone flying through the Christmas tree. I believe that was the man himself. Perhaps getting ready to go here as I see some of... And who is this? This is Riolu. In the depths of his soul. Finding the kind of humour his chat enjoys. So here, just once again, just awaiting Mudda to come back on server. And match is resuming. It looks as if we are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Be in the top 8 is your goal. If you are outside, then I'm afraid it's curtains. Looks as if the live ranking hasn't yet updated again. There we go. Business as normal, and we are underway. Everyone has started as far as I can see here. Yep. We are driving. Let's check in with evoN once again. Hopefully we'll get to see a full lap this time. So here Gwen opting for that different approach, but I mean, certainly crashing into the wall I'm sure wasn't part of his plan. evoN in the lead here though. Looking good so far up at the top are all 4 of these players. Oh, players opting for a different approach going through this section. On to the identity here. See Pack, Massa up at the top. Kappa just behind. Bren now charging through in the identity. But what a lovely exit from both Pack and evoN there. Pack, however, with the fastest lap in the start. And as such in the lead. Jumps a little bit wider there. You can see those players who go for the inside line. Get a smooth line up onto the reactor boost. But going for a lot more speed is evoN. And now trying to take first place here. Seems to be Pax taking the inside lines, evoN's taking the outside lines here. Both players avoid the slide though that Gwen was falling Gwen was falling to. Oh, and as pointed out there, yes, Mudda, he might have recovered from the game crash, but he's going to need to move heaven and earth to recover from this wall crash or whatever it is that's happened. He is a hop, skip and a jump away. No other players made very significant mistakes so far, but look at this, 4 players within a 1/10 of a second here. Oh, Massa so wide there, oh my god. But this battle is extraordinarily close. As we said, identity isn't as difficult in this track. It is definitely more forgivable. So especially evoN coming into this saying he was a little bit more nervous. This is a perfect kind of track for him to get points, but gets that slide there. And he makes the mistake as well. Falls to the exact same trap as Gwen did. And now falling so far behind. And now evoN's potential to make points have been absolutely dashed here. That is the difficulty with that section there. When you have the ice wheels, when the ice is locking up you've got snow clogged in the treads of your tyres, then you need to be extremely delicate with your turn or else your car will slide. And had issues recovering from it there. However, up in this battle at the top here, we're seeing Spam being the main man, along with Mudda losing points. Mudda 45 points at risk here, and I don't think it's going to get any easier throughout the course of this. Oh, it seems to be Afi embraces the slide there. So that's a safe way to take it. Very interesting approach for Afi. Seems to be paying off well for him. Wants to save his 29 points, but Pack is a mile ahead here. Look at this performance once again. He doesn't win all of the maps in the step, but it seems to be when he does win them, he wins them by a country mile. Oh, Afi with the small mistake there, but as he was on a booster, he recovered almost immediately. Takes good composure to recover that quickly there. But let's check the chasing Pack here. There's a battle of 3 men here. Only one of them will lose points. Scrappy with a nice little technique there. It allowed him just to stay on ground. Done a little right-left just as he was going over the crest of that hill. However, it's not helping so far. Papu and Afi are in front. Papu would never expect him going into the final map for only 1 point, but here we are. Look at that jump from Papu. He risked it for the biscuit there. However, there is no biscuits for 7th place. There is only points and not a lot of them, so he's going to need to start making headway through the group here. Time to activate wall hack if you're Scrappy. Or speed boost, I mean, sorry. Same thing. Papu though drops down going through the identity. Now he's going to be the one on the back foot. But Pack second, fastest lap after fastest lap here. But let's take a look here how the rest of the field's doing. We're seeing Mudda is even further behind now. Kappa has made big mistakes. Link is super far down. Say TMGL is the closest person who can take advantage of mistakes, but in a map where you don't see a lot of mistakes, I don't think he's going to get lucky here. Papu might even be at risk of not getting his points. He needs one player in front to crash. But look at this from Pack, the Brit from M&M Gaming. 42 points. He won't be the step points leader overall, however, he will come out of this step richer than when he went in, going into the identity for the final time, 1.5 seconds ahead of the field, and this has been a dominating performance for Pack, and definitely recovering from points lost and recovering in style. Pack is your map 6 winner. Carl Jr., Massa, Tween, Bren, Afi, Aurel and Scrappy are your final points winners. Those going home with nothing are Papu, Riolu, Gwen, Spam, TMGL, Link, Mudda and Kappa. So not as much points lost being... not as much points being lost, pardon me, in map number 6, especially not as last time. But last time was setting records, so we can understand that. However, this is not good for some of those players who are normally very much counting on early season performance like Papu. At the moment, Papu is actually in 14th position here as a man from Gamers Origin. A man who's been in so many Trackmania Grand League finals is struggling even to get in the top 8. But check out the league rankings. Overall, you have Carl Jr. double the points of his closest rival already, 151 points. Pack on 69. Nice. Aurel on 67. Tween 52. Spam 43. Afi 41. 38 for Bren, 36 for Massa. The movers are Pack and Aurel moving up. Pack almost solely from this step's performance and overtaking Spam and Tween. Those moving down, Mudda, Scrappy. Sorry, Mudda moves down. Scrappy does actually move up. However, he was leapfrogged by Pack, hence why you see him going down. Riolu 11th, Kappa 12th, Gwen 13th, Papu 14th, Link 15th, and TMGL 16th. So, your previous group stage winner or league stage winner and Gwen is in 13th. A group stage runner-up in Riolu is 11th. And also Papu, also a very strong group stage performer, is finding himself in 14th position. However, we are only 2 steps in. We have a lot of drama to unpack. But before we do that, we will check in with TMGL. TMGL, step number 2's in the bag. Didn't get as much points, didn't get what we wanted from step number 2. But let's hear it from your mouth. How did things go? Talk us through what happened in step number 2.
Well, map 5 did start well. I did make identity twice in a row. I was 4th, I believe. And yeah, identity just didn't work out. And but I'm pretty sure I would have been top 3 there if I just kept my pace. Sadly, it just didn't work out. And map 6, I had a really good start before the restart. I don't know if that did something in my mind, break out my mind or something. But it was also looking good. But that no slide was unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed. Yeah, but I'm still motivated.
Well, that's the main thing. It's not how you fall down, it's how you pick yourself back up, as they say. But you were talking earlier on in our mid-match interview about nerves there, and we did see a similar situation last season. I don't recall exactly what map it was, but a map that you were dominating on that got restarted due to a timing bug. However, on the restart there, you then made mistakes and lost points in that one, if I do recall correctly. So do you feel that it's the nerves that you were talking about from the mid-match interview that possibly play a factor in things like this?
I'm pretty sure it's nerves, because pace is there. I was doing really good in practice, really good pace, a lot of good 6-lappers. So I'm pretty sure it is nerves, but yeah, definitely also restarts.
So does this change your approach at all going into next week? Any plans how you're going to tackle new maps and step number 3?
Well, we'll have to see what the new maps will be. I hope they're gonna be good. But I think I will be able to do better. Like now, both slalom and switcheroo can be really good for me next step. And overall, I think this can be really good step. Like I think I can get a lot of points. But yeah, like I said, it depends on the maps.
Yeah, for sure, especially with 2 new maps coming in that we don't have any idea of. But I suppose it's important to take the good things from this step as much as we might end up with not a lot of points so far from step 1 and 2. In the sense that exactly as you did say there, you did gain you did show a very good pace in map number 5 and 6. However, just falling to a few mistakes here and there. But does that kind of fill you with confidence that coming into a new season, as you'd said previously, you were a bit concerned that it was very stacked? But now at least you know you can definitely keep up with these people. It's just about keeping the composure.
Yeah, I definitely can. And I mean, obviously, like you said, it is really stacked. Times are really, really fast. Also, I think on the last map, it was 1.5 seconds between top 8. So yeah, everyone is just really, really fast. It's hard for them to make mistakes. So you can't just rely on mistakes. You have to drive really good pace. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we said, it's always important to take the good things along with the bad, and we'll be here along with you on the ride to step number 3, which will, of course, be happening next week, hopefully an earlier time than this one went live, coming in at 8 p.m. But that has been it from myself and evoN and Team Secret, of course, for this week's Trackmania Grand League. It has been a pleasure watching you once again, evoN. It's been a pleasure bringing this to everyone in the stream once again. I hope everyone enjoys, and I will see you all next time.